Hi everyone, welcome to Trading in Zones. This week on the weekly street talk, we are going to cover a lot of stocks and how they are performing. So, welcome on board, stay in touch, mark these stocks, and you could see the performance in our previous video in terms of how we have done last week. And I hope you guys are able to utilize these stock lists and make good investments. All right, so let's look at what's in store in the market news. JK Tire Industries posted 79% lower PAT for Q4 FY19. The stock has bottomed out. It's a good stock to hold. The movement you can see here on the chart, it's come down significantly. It seems to be reversing, but you never know. This is not a great investment, but if someone who's already bought it, it's a good stock to hold is what the street recommendation is. But personally, not a great stock, but watch the stock. If at all it breaks above 81, 82, there might be some movement which might happen. Bajaj Finance is also a stock which I referred. I didn't cover the stock in the weekly street talk review. I kind of missed it because both Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv was also a stock to watch, and we could see that they moved good, 100-200 rupees kind of a movement. It gave a decent 3 to 4% kind of a movement last week, and it seems to be doing pretty well from there on. And Bajaj Finance also is a stock which you can continue to watch, given that their profit after tax is 50% higher and the future prospects really good. So for a long-term buy perspective, this is definitely an accumulate. So right now you can see there is a very strong support which has got created because of the gap. So technically as well, the stock is really looking good, and there might be more rally if the market continues to rally. The other stock which really disappointed the Dala Street last week is KPIT. KPIT लगता है पूरा तेल लेने गया. KPIT disappointed the streets. 44% lower PAT for Q4. So it's more of a stock which the street recommends as to watch and not really get into a buy. At this point in time, KPIT seems to have taken support at the lower 90s, but I'm really not sure when the stock is going to recover. Given that the IT index is also looking weak, this is definitely not a recommendation from our side to buy. The news on PNB has terminated its sell agreement of PNB Housing Finance. Sounds to be good. So PNB Housing Finance, if you remember, was a stock which I gave as a recommendation sometime back for all our Discord users. When it started making a significant move, PNB was a great buy. And in fact, we did discuss about PNB in one of the weekly street talks where it made a good significant move. And then on, you can see it's come down, tested the gap, took support, and then it has started moving. And last week, it's given a significant movement. And given the way it is going, you can very clearly see that there is probably 980 on the cards on a very short-term basis. So PNB Housing definitely becomes a stock to look for. PSU banks, if you have seen, have done a great deal. And PSU banks and realty are the two index which have rallied like no one's business in the last week. And they are looking very, very strong. But however, there are these two stocks on both the PSU bank fronts which are worth keeping a lookout on. One is Bank India. Obviously, Bank India is a stock you can see made a significant reversal, and there is more bandwidth on the stock for it to move from a resistance perspective or a support perspective. Right now, it's kind of closed at the resistance level, though it's slightly broken this level. If the stock starts moving higher and if it crosses 100, you can easily see at least another 5 to 6% or a 7% swing, which is possible. So this could be a good stock to watch as per us, but I wouldn't advise you to buy straight away, because my buy might be slightly on the lower side if there is a correction, if at all. If it is a gap up opening, then probably a buy. And if I have to trade a breakout, I might want to look at trading a breakout above 100. If I'm trading a pullback, probably I would want to trade the pullback at around 94 to 95 odd levels, or between 93 to 95 is where I would be comfortable buying the stock. So that is what is Bank of India. And the other stock on the banking side in PSU banking space was Can Bank. This is a stock which I continue to watch. You can see a similar setup. Could be a reversal, seems to be a strong breakout, and if it starts moving above 280, we might see a 300 level again. And quite a few PSU banks are really doing well. On the private bank side, my personal recommendation would be ICICI Bank, given the kind of rally it has given and given the kind of breakout it is having. There might be much more in store on this particular counter in the coming days. On the realty side, though the entire market has done really well, one of the things which you need to really closely watch is Brigade Enterprise. It is expected to have a good trust of affordable housing schemes and the government coming back. There will be a push on all the schemes which they have been driving all this while. So Brigade is definitely a stock to watch. Apart from Brigade, on the same housing finance breadth, if I have to talk about, there is one more stock called DHFL, which is more of a finance company, but again a housing finance company. What's happening here is this was a stock which seemed like a revival, but it's been quite shaky. But DHFL is probably a good buy now, given that they're looking at selling that 18,000 crore wholesale real estate loan to a US based Oaktree Capital. If that goes through, the share price is bound to rise. So keep a lookout on the news. Maybe accumulate in small quantity on DHFL with a very limited risk on the downside. And if the news breaks out, this might be a stock which might move significantly. But at this point in time, we can see that there is a significant pull or a strong support which is created at around 106 levels. So this becomes a strong accumulation area, and I would want to look at this 15-20 rupees for the stock to accumulate and average it out with least risk. With a stop loss right at around 100 or slightly below 100 to get out of the stock if in case it starts continuing to move. If it starts continuing to move down, because you can see the previous support is at around 96 to 100 level. So if it starts strongly moving down towards that level, it could be a sell-off. But at this point in time, given the price action confirmation and given the kind of support it is looking at around 100, 110, is already given a significant 10 to 15% kind of a move, but there might be more coming in DHFL's way if the deal continues to go through. And the other part of the news, again, Bajaj Finserv, highest ever growth. Both the Bajaj duo, I've been talking about them. It is definitely something to look for. The other thing which I keep scanning is EPS. So J&K Bank has posted great EPS results. So keep a watch on J&K. Prakash Industries is definitely a good long-term buy as well. One of the other banks which I really closely watched and gave quite a good call on the swing perspective to all my training group folks is IndusInd Bank. But if you see their Q4 PAT, it actually plunged close to 62% on account of higher provisioning because they have an exposure to IL&FS, and that's a bad asset. However, the rising fee income and operating profits in its financial may improve in the long term. So it is reversed very strongly. If you're looking at IndusInd Bank as a stock, so you can see how strongly the stock has moved post the kind of reversal, though they have the profit after tax has plunged significantly. It seems like it's slightly overvalued. Maybe many stocks in the market are slightly overvalued at this point in time. But however, this is still a good stock to continue to watch. It might dip down, but if you continue to accumulate it over a period of for a long-term investment, this might be good. But definitely is not a buy at this point in time. I would want you to wait for some amount of corrections. However, on the pharma side, if we start looking at, there are a couple of stocks which have been doing really well. If you have seen the results of Cipla has done really well, and you can see it's been consolidating for quite some time, not really giving up on the bottom side nor making a new high, but this is definitely looking for a breakout. So above 580, 560 levels, there might be significant amount of movement. And in fact, the stock, when it started falling, we were giving a buy recommendation at around 500, 510 levels for a swing, but that is definitely closed at this point in time, not as an investment. But for now, the stock really looks good from an investment perspective, because if you see the Q4 profit after tax is more than doubled at 358 crore, and the board approved plans to raise funds up to 3000 crore by issue of equity and another 3000 crore by issue of non-convertible debentures or bonds. So this is definitely a stock to accumulate, and Cipla really looks good. And one of the other stocks which is doing really well is Graphite India. Their EPS is looking at 175, and as you know, I am a EPS follower. Graphite India is probably an excellent long-term buy. Once all the issue around the coke and coke related product issues are sorted out, this becomes a great buy. DLF is also a stock which I gave a buy some time back because they gave a very good result. So continue to watch DLF. This might make a new high, might cross more than 200 from a value perspective, and it might grow a lot more in the coming days, because to 76% jump in Q4 profit after tax is a significant movement, and the government coming back is a great news. Affordable housing and stuff like that is going to make a significant move. The other stock which results look really good is Thermax. Thermax was something which I was investing way long back. They have given a great result of around 67% profit after tax, but look for the levels and invest is what I would mention. I wouldn't really have time because there are so many other stocks to cover. So you can look at Thermax as a stock. Some of the other stocks might continue to move. You can continue to watch stocks like Dhampur Sugar, some of the stocks which are in the auto sector, realty sector, and in the PSU bank sector might move, given that these indexes really performed well and moved the index pretty strongly. Auto index is also set to watch because seems to be a good reversal on the chart front. Alright, so that's about the set of stocks. One of my personal recommendations was Biocon, and if you remember, I gave this stock even on our Discord channel as a buy at around 522 level. Right, so I have my gap fill area which is coming from the historical data right over here. I'm really not expecting it to come down this much, but the reversal seems to be strong on this stock now. Around 522, I have started accumulating the stock personally, so this stock is definitely on my radar. And this company again has posted great results, good EPS, looking really good. And this seems to be more of a sell-off which has happened on a profit booking note, but the stock is really looking good. I'm probably looking at 700 plus to sell it off. So over a period of time, if you look at the stock, I'm really not sure, because it's very difficult to gauge whether the stock is going to move 5% today or whether the stock is going to move 10% in a week. Things happen and the market is very sentimental at this point in time. You never know if the pharma revival continues, though the news around the pharma companies is not really great at this point in time, but Cipla and Biocon are really doing good from a result standpoint. So it's better we move our money from stocks like Lupin or Sun Pharma. It's better to keep our money with Cipla and Biocon, who are doing really well. Sun Pharma might be a good revival story if you want to accumulate in small quantities over a period of time as an investment. Maybe Sun Pharma is a good one, but I would probably look at Sun Pharma as a 5-year, 6-year investment, not really a swing call. But for short-term movement, Cipla and Biocon are probably looking really strong. So I would want you to probably focus on those. Some of the other breakout stocks also is stocks like the Adani Group stocks have done really well. Adani Port, Adani Adani Gas. Some of these stocks have been making significant movement. So continue to watch them for next week. So the Adani stocks might move as well. Alright. So that's about it in this weekly stock street talk. I hope these stock recommendations will help you take appropriate decisions in this coming week and will help you make some good money from your swing perspective. Thanks guys, have a wonderful weekend, take care and see you all soon.